Why do you want to get out of my picture? Hey, party people, welcome to my week in review. Man, I got some outstanding news. In this video, we got, of course, our new home. We have we have a new shop. We have a lift in the shop.
Stop dreaming.
She always wanted me to dream. Now she's telling me to stop dreaming. You ever see those little shorts where somebody's leaning on somebody's Lamborghini and the owner walks up and say, "Hey, is that your car? That's a nice car." They say, "Oh yeah, sure." And then they push the remote button. Let me get out of my guy's kitchen before he comes in here and smacks me in the back of the head. Anyway, it's a week in review. One thing I did that might be helpful to some in this video is I went over the manual swap parts. I don't know why, but there seems to be some confusion with that, especially with the 850 stuff. And man, if you don't got the right parts, you might get it done, but it's going to be frustrating and probably not going to look right. You know, I got this thing where if your car looks the way you want it to look and it runs well, you'll probably keep it. When things are all jacked up, hacked up, smacked up, beat down, broke down, not fitting, not proper, you just hard to get that pride of ownership. So this video will help guide some of you through that stuff with getting your manual swap parts. And it's so tough to get those parts now. You pretty much got to buy a car to get that stuff right. So anyway, I got that in there, made a couple of stops, went through Chicago again, went through Springfield, Missouri, and just, you know, helping people do as much as I can. Man, it's a lot of fun. A lot of people appreciate the help, enjoy working on the cars. Just, you know, taking it day by day. I was posting daily videos in the Patreon side, but I think I'm just going to do these weeklies. So I'm going to put as much information as I can of things I did throughout the week and put these in the Patreon side. I'll post them public for 30 days, then move them over to the Patreon side. So if you want to see the ones from the past, you're going to have to go over there and check them out along with other things. Now, I do have a very few videos in my Patreon account that you have to pay to see. So if you're a paid member, there's a few videos you can see that the public can't. And those are mainly performance things or insider secrets, you know, stuff that, man, if somebody pay me to support me in that way, man, I'm glad to let them in on a couple of secrets that I just don't want public. If I made everything public, I probably wouldn't have nothing, because there's a couple tips and tricks that I use to get things that some people, if they knew about it, there wouldn't be nothing for me. You know, it's just, it is what it is. So anyway, we're making special effort to locate, get the contact information for Patreon people that are subscribed, paid subscribers, so that when we go through their area, we make sure that we connect with them, we don't miss helping them, and we're going to be more aggressive with that in the future. Somebody that's been supporting me for, you know, however long, 3, 4, 5 years through Patreon, for however many dollars that they could afford to, I hate to miss helping them if I'm in their area. I've said it before, if all of my supporters, or should I say subscribers to my channel, help me out with $5 a year, and I wouldn't even have to charge people to come and help them. I'd have comfortable property, I'd have a shop that I could do things with, I'd have space to do special events, I'd have places to store parts, and, you know, it's just, man, life would be easy if just all my subscribers chipped in like $5 a year, not a month, a year. But hey, life is not that simple now. When chips were down and I needed some help, I was reminded yesterday, and I don't need to be reminded because I do appreciate it and still remember. Man, a bunch of my subscribers and supporters chipped in, helped me out through difficult times, And I think it's a little sad that something dramatic has to happen for people to help each other. But hey, it is what it is. We're human. Most of us do our best to be decent people. We do our best to do what's right. And a few of us do things to help others that we don't have to do. So, hey, and especially this time of year, if you're a person that can, man, spare $5-10, make a small donation to your local food bank or something like that. I hear people say, hey, I go down to the grocery store, I spend $50 on stuff, and I walk the streets and giving it away to homeless people. And man, let me tell you something. The food bank, they'll take that $50 and multiply that by 10, 20, or 30. So you spending $50 and giving it to people that you see roaming around the streets is not near as effective as it would be if you turned that $50 over to a food bank and let them take that and multiply it. Man, it's like a miracle what they can do with $50 compared to what I could do for $50. So I always encourage people to give that money to the people that specialize in doing what you're thinking about doing. And if you want some hands-on with it, take your tail down to the food bank and volunteer a few hours. A lot of those places, I didn't know it. I could have imagined it, but a lot of those places are being volunteered or staffed with people doing community service. Somebody tears down some public property, being a drunken fool, and they go to court, and court orders them to go help the food bank. It gets done, but normally not in a pleasant way. But people like you and me could take a few hours in a month and go down there, 2-3 hours in a month or so, go down there and help those folks accomplish the things that they're accomplishing for the people in need in our community. So hey, do that and just be the best person you could be. And I know that life for many of us will be more pleasant. And always try to be pleasant when communicating with others. I told my daughter, had to remind her, she's getting frustrated, that hey, when you're dealing with people you got to do business with, if they're not doing their job, you still have to make an effort to be as pleasant as you can. Plead with them that you need their help so that you can get this task accomplished and move on with life. Don't always get frustrated. Let them frustrate you and then have to feel like you have to get aggressive with it, So anyway, enough from my soapbox. Man, I sold a couple more things off my website, some merch. Christmas is coming. Sold a couple t-shirts, a cup or two, and a sticker or two. And I appreciate you all support. Thank you for, support me in any way you can. Hope you have a great day and a good week. And unfortunately, I got a doctor's appointment I got to get to, so I got to wrap up what I'm doing here and get back home so I can tend to that doctor's appointment and then try to get back on schedule. So thanks for watching. Have a great day. Kicking off the Tinker Day. Going to clean lemonade and get it packed up for the trip. Since I've done a couple of manual swaps, I decided to update the, parts list per se for this job to help people kind of make sure they're prepared. I see a lot of people purchase what they call swap kits from other people, and half the stuff they need to get the job done is not there. Now when I show up to do a manual swap, I usually have an entire kit with me so that if something's missing from their kit, we can proceed. Nothing like getting halfway done with a job and don't have something you need, or something they have is improper and you got to go find the proper stuff, man. It's just frustrating. So I'm going to go ahead and make this video, show you the parts that you should have and need to convert one of these P80 cars, 850 S&V 70s built between 92 and 2000, convert them to manual, and hopefully it'll help. Most people doing this conversion is also doing things to get power added to the vehicle, trying to make it a higher performing vehicle. So it's tough because the clutch kits that most of us used and loved, the one that came on the 850Rs or S&V 70Rs, single mass flywheel clutches that I guess was between 95 and 98, no longer available. And until they become available, people are substituting other things. I've learned that the NA clutch can hold on a turbo car as long as you don't drive it real aggressive. I've heard a couple people say when they're in the higher RPM in third or fourth gear, they're experiencing some clutch slippage on the NA clutch. But man, if you're in third gear and you're up around 4,500, 5,000 RPMs, you're doing about 90 miles an hour and you're gaining speed fast. So, you know, I almost don't feel sorry for you. I put one in a turbo car a couple of weeks ago. They have not had any slippage at all. I test drove it and I leaned on it a little bit and didn't experience any slippage in first or second that I could tell. Now, I wasn't up near 5,000 RPMs pushing it, but I was giving it a little juice, making a little fun, and it held fine. But if you're going to be modding a car, taking it from 220 horsepower up to 320 horsepower, you are going to need a performance clutch. That our clutch used to hold pretty good, and some people are getting aftermarket clutches, which is fine. What I've decided that I'm probably going to do from now on cars that are also getting performance mods is just go with the dual mass flywheel clutch system and either use the T5 clutch kit or an R clutch from an even newer vehicle. But I think the T5 clutch kit will work with the dual mass flywheel as long as you're not trying to push more than probably 320 horsepower. So that's where it's at. Let me go ahead and show you these parts that I normally get for doing the 850 vehicles. I do more of those than the others. The others already have a lot of manual cars, but the 850s is what people are doing. Unfortunately, these parts are drying up faster than rain coming out of the sky in New Mexico. So if you're fortunate enough to get a manual swap kit, man, count your blessings, because it seems like those days are rapidly coming to an end. The people with the 850 NA cars are even holding on to those with the manuals in them. So hopefully we can keep finding the parts we need and keep having fun. That's what it's all about. Enjoying what you drive if you love to drive. I got maybe 1 or 2 kits left. But anyway, let me go ahead and show you what parts you need. I'm also going to try to list the part numbers of these parts in the description area, so that if you want to try to buy these parts new, you can. Some of my buddies, man, they go all out. They get all the new parts that they can so that this stuff will last them as long as they expect it to or want it to. So let's get going. First things first, you want a transmission. You can see here, this one has a speed sensor on the back. It came out of a 93, 94, or 95 vehicle. It has a clutch fork, so it has a external slave cylinder. This one fork is missing the clip that clips here and pivots there. You do want that. If you can't find that clip, you want to just go ahead and get an internal slave cylinder, because this here determines the travel of your pedal. And if that clip's not there, your pedal may travel all the way to the floor before you release your clutch properly. So Do make sure you got that spacer clip. If you have a fork, again, this is an M56 from 93 to 95 because of the speed sensor. After 95, they didn't have the speed sensor. All the way up to 98.5, you could still get external slave cylinder. This is an M56 with an internal slave cylinder. They started doing this 98.5. So you don't have the fork and you don't need that spacer. One thing that I'm finding on some of these transmissions that's coming up missing, which is a problem, is the bracket that's mounted here. It's missing off of this transmission. It's missing off of that transmission. You want that bracket there because that's what holds your shift cables. And if you don't have the proper one, your shifter will not travel properly inside the car. This transmission here has the cable brackets, two 12mm screws there. This little ziggly metal bracket comes through this stationary one, and it has the rubber grommet on there. That's how that should look. And you want the one that goes with your style car. Another thing you notice, that has the reverse light switch there. This one is missing the reverse light switch. So you want to make sure that your transmission has the reverse light switch. Again, here's that reverse light switch. I think it's a 22mm. That does not get a washer on it. It goes in raw. Here's your shifter linkages. I can show you how to try to check the transmission before you install it. Each one of these linkages should have a washer and a clip ring on it, like you see here. This one does have an external slave cylinder. You see the fork there. It is also missing that clip there, and the fork comes out here. Has no external slave cylinder on it at this time. You also want to see if your transmission has these guide pins on it. Doesn't really matter, but before you put the transmission on, you want to make sure you either have them on there or don't, according to what's in the engine. These normally have two of them on there, one here and one back there. Again, make sure your engine doesn't have them in there and they're on here, or you'll have a hard time getting the transmission on. One thing I see on the parts list a lot is the seal for this shaft. Input shaft seal. It is behind this little spacer piece here on the transmissions that have the external slave cylinder. Man, I've never seen one of those leak, but you're more than welcome to replace them. I don't mess with them unless somebody kind of demands it. Again, I've never seen one leaking. They probably last the life of the transmission, but it can be replaced. On this one with the internal slave cylinder, you pull that slave cylinder off and that seal is exposed. Now, somebody had me replacing that seal on one of these transmissions. Actually, I've replaced a couple of them. Every time I've replaced one of these three screws broke off and I had to machine it out. So that's another reason why you don't want to do that. But if you do, be prepared to replace those screws. These are your axle seals. You can replace them. I usually don't. I think the seals that are being manufactured now are actually a little bit larger ID, which is causing those things to leak. Don't take much to cause a leak, and a lot of people are replacing these seals weekly trying to stop their leak. Maybe better off leaving the old ones in. I haven't had any issues with them leaking, leaving the old ones in, but that's your call. Other parts you want to get from the donor car or buy new. Unfortunately, this first item, I do not think you can buy it new anymore. I'm having a lot of people request me send them the ones that I have, but they're part of a kit. Can't do that. Is your shift cables. This is the inside end. That's the transmission end. They have that spacer. That spacer is also on your automatic shift cable thing, so you don't have to have that. But you do need clips. 2 for the inside, 2 for the outside bracket. Those clips look like these. So you need 4 of these clips to do this job. Next thing you need is the clutch master cylinder. It has a T40 screw in it and a 13 millimeter nut on there, and the hydraulic line that goes to your brake fluid reservoir, and this clutch line that goes from the clutch master cylinder. The line feeds through this little bracket for the air box and goes over to the external slave cylinder or internal slave cylinder. If you get one of these cylinders used, make sure you got your bleed screw on there. Make sure your line's not leaking or in bad shape. These lines are probably available. This can be used off of the automatic transmission cars. It doesn't matter. There's sometimes a clip here that holds the line in place when you have this. Here's the clutch fork that goes to the transmission, and this one has the little plastic retainer there. It looks like that on the other side. You can get this in Europe. Here's your shifter assembly with the boot on it, and there's a plastic clip under here that clips into the trim if you have the trim bracket or a trim out of a manual 850 car. I do not recommend trying to take this apart. I take that out of the floor, take those cables loose, and keep it all together. That way you don't break things. You can get this seat, but it's hard to install. I've broken brand new ones. I don't recommend taking this apart. Shifter assembly. That boot and the way it mounts into the center console is different from the 70 series cars. So don't plan on trying to use the 70 series one unless you're planning on modifying the way that mounts. Here's the clutch master cylinder, the hydraulic line, and where it would attach to the coupling at the internal slave cylinder junction. So that's what your line will look like. You probably can have a bracket that would secure that to the transmission there. And if you have that style, you want to have a couple of these tiny clips here. You may need 3 of them for this job. You put those in place, you slide the line in, it locks in place. So they'll be at that junction at the transmission. That clip also goes there on these master clutch cylinders. Here's the trim that goes in the center console. Your window switches go here, other switches go here. You will need one of these blanks to fill in a hole if you're going to use your auto trim piece. This hole is more narrow on the manual cars than it is on the automatic cars. What I usually do is take this piece out of my donor car and I cut it along here and I attach it to the bottom of my auto centerpiece, because my auto centerpiece has nice wood grain in there and I want to maintain that. At the same time, I want my boot to clip in here. So you could use this off of a donor car, or you could buy this file that they have online to print one of these, or you could buy them from somebody that prints them for you. I've learned that that piece that they print is a little different. I don't like the way it looks. It exposes some of that trim piece. Also, the plastic print, 3D print, is thicker and it's hard for that boot mount to clip in there. I'd rather use this than that. That's just me. This is the armrest pouch out of the manual car. It's a lot deeper than the auto one. Unfortunately, most of them are gross, but you could use that. It's a lot nicer having a deeper armrest pocket. Now on the auto cars, there's some kind of, I don't know, harmonic absorption piece of metal mounted under the center console. You can ditch that and mount this under your center console and have a nice deeper pocket for your armrest area. Here's your flywheel. You can have it turned. I don't usually do that unless I see a flywheel that has these surface cracks on it from overheating. This one has been turned. You want these 6 screws that screw the clutch kit to the flywheel. I'll try to put those part numbers in the description area. And you want 10 flywheel bolts as well. You don't want to use the automatic transmission flex plate bolts. You do want flywheel bolts. Here's your throwout bearing if you're using a external slave vehicle with a fork that attaches to that. You do want that. This is a little cap that will replace that hole or that switch that has the performance mods for your automatic transmission. Here's your clip ring if you have a external slave cylinder. Here's a couple of bearings that I offer on my website in case your shift cable grommets are worn out. That would replace those. A lot of times those are torn on these old cables and you have sloppy shifting. This will cure the sloppy shifting. These are the clips that were on the transmission, the shift linkages, the washers and the clips. You want to make sure you got a couple of those. This little thing here was holding the wire harness to the transmission down close to the front of the transmission where your wires come through. I normally cut the sleeve loose that holds all of those automatic transmission wires and stuff away because it just is in the way of the shifting assembly, and that clamp comes in handy. Now if you have access to a newer vehicle like a 99 or newer that's a manual, they have a nice sleeve that you can put your wires in. Here's a pedal assembly. This is the one for the 850. The SMV 71 is a little different. That's up to you which one you use. The SMV 71 will work. I like this one. It seems to fit a little better in the 850s. It's got a little arm there that goes to the firewall up at the brake booster. It has this return spring here. It has this little piece here that goes inside this little hook area there. Some sort of spacer. You should have that. If you don't have that, it's not the end of the world. The pedal will return without that assistance of that spring. I've seen these springs missing, grommets there. Not a real big deal. That's where your clutch master cylinder arm will attach to your clutch pedal. Of course, you will need a pedal set to operate the clutch, and your brake pad is smaller. You may be able to buy these pads brand new. Now, a lot of times people may or may not include your cruise control cutoff switch that's on your pedal bracket assembly and or the brake light switch. Those could be transferred from your automatic pedal assembly. Not a big deal. You'll need a clutch kit. This one is from an NA car. The springs are not painted. The R clutch kit has blue painted springs. The meat material is bigger on the R clutch. The springs may be stronger. I'm just assuming. So you need a clutch kit, disc, and the pressure plate. There are two different flywheels, single mass for these cars. One of them, like this, has these holes in it. This is the one that came in the 850s. The other one has this little squares on it that came in the SMV 70s. If you have this type of flywheel, you may have to do a reverse polarity on your crank sensor. If you have this type, you probably won't. But one of the things you want to look at on your flywheels, even if it doesn't have a groove in it, see if you have any surface cracks on that flywheel. This one does. There's a bunch of surface cracks on it, probably from being overheated with a clutch kit at one time. I'm going to take this to a machine shop and have them turn it and tell me if it's still good to use. I'm not sure, but there's a dimple there. It may be able to be machined down to that dimple. I don't know. But I'm going to see if this one is still good, even though it has these surface cracks in it. They may be able to machine past those. Other than those parts, a lot of people get a few other parts. They'll get a rear main seal to replace that. I'm up in the air about replacing those if they're dry. If I see any evidence of moisture in there, I'll replace them. I have them on hand. If they're dry, I'll leave them alone. May not be a good decision. Again, we talked about the transmission axle seals. Transmission fluid, you probably need 2.25 quarts, a little bit more than 2 liters to service the transmission. Of course, you want to use nice, fresh, new transmission fluid, and don't assume it has transmission fluid because it may not. You want .4 brake fluid for your clutch system. When you add your clutch master cylinder line and stuff to that brake fluid reservoir, you'll need to bleed that, and I recommend just bleeding the fluid through the whole brake system. You may want to get a transmission torque mount if the one you got is bad. A throttle cable is not necessary. The one that's on the car has a kick down switch in it. You don't need that. You can if you want, no big deal. Again, leave that shifter ball seat clip alone. You'll need thread sealer for your bolts that go through your flywheel to prevent oil leakage through there. Get some glove, brake parts cleaner, hydraulic engine mounts for the car. You may need those when you pull that engine transmission subframe. You'll probably find those things destroyed. And electrical connectors and electrical wire to splice in maybe a speed sensor or something like that if you don't have the drop-in plug-and-play transmission for your vehicle. So hope that helps. Hope you get everything done in a timely manner, nice and easy. Have a great day. Kicking off the Tinker Day, trying to get out of town. Sad things going on right now. I'm getting a lot of report of 850 key cylinders going bad. Man, I'm getting about one a week. Now this car, I have new lock set for it, rekey the whole thing. So I am gonna sell this lock to one of my customers with a key. There it is there. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna install the handle on their car. Then I'm gonna remove the key cylinder from it. I'm gonna go over to the passenger side, remove the key cylinder out of that one with their key that matches the ignition. Then I'm gonna bring that key cylinder back over to the driver's side and install it so they can get in the door with the key and start the car with the same key. But if they need to get in the passenger door, they'll have to use this other key. I only have one of those, so that kind of sucks. Keys are $100 a pop. So that's what's going on. I do have some ignition key cylinders that I can sell, door key cylinders. Just give me a buzz, let me know, send me a text message. I got prices on them, but if you're in a jam, you need a discount, let me know. I'll help you out best I can. Wow, had a real hard time getting this trim off the door. Then I realized there wasn't no screw there, and somebody glued every clip into the door. Made it near impossible to get off without damaging it. Thank you, whoever this brilliant person was. Made the stop, checked on this 850, it's leaking something. Found out it's power steering fluid. So we're gonna put this in there, this Lucas stuff, guaranteed to stop all your leaks or your money back. 12 ounces. We're gonna fill it up with that, see if that stops it. We're also gonna drop the ECU in, check a couple other little minor things, and go to the next stop. My good friend Sebastian getting his Resto Mod certificate for his 850. Back here at the blue car, I brought the wrong door trim again. So I got to try to get that right. I got this one, but I don't think it's even necessary replacing that for that scuff. So anyway, we take 2 more pictures. And she's having a problem with some kind of grinding during braking. I think she's experiencing ABS engagement when she hits a bump while she's driving, but we'll take a look at this suspension under the car and see if we can find anything. And this is how you tell if your lower control arm is bad. Your wheel moves around like that. Bump stops are ate up. These rear brake pads are pretty much gone. Probably no pad on that at all. Rim is bent in 2 places. There in there. The bend in the rim there. This brake pad looks good. The other side looks good. This brake pad is wore all the way down. People, you've got to quit letting people put these baby oil filters on your car. You have a Volvo, bring them your own filter. That thing is half the size of what it's supposed to be. And it probably doesn't have the safety drain back restrictor or check valve that it needs to. So take them your own filter. So this is the vehicle that has the key that will not open the door lock. It's like something fell in the door handle and won't allow the key all the way in to lock or unlock it. See, it's sticking out just a little bit. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna replace this handle with one that I got from another vehicle. Then I'm gonna pull the lock cylinder out of it. I'm gonna go to the other side and pull the lock cylinder out of this side. And I'm gonna take this lock cylinder that you see the key goes all the way in, I'm gonna take it to that side so that it's on the driver's side. Just thinking it through. I got the key out the cylinder, but I can't remember how I got it out that quick. But I just learned that these are right hand, left hand side. So I could go put this handle on the right hand side, put this handle on the left hand side, and be done with it. So that's what I'm about to do. Man, I can't even tell you what a Chinese jigsaw puzzle this was. Now these door handles will fit driver's side to passenger side, but there's a little spacer in there that the locking mechanism goes into, and if that thing is not positioned right, it messes with these micro switches in there, and your locks won't work right with your key or with. So I tried to move this one over that side and vice versa, but man, that would not work because it was messing with the central locking, and I'd unlock the driver's door and it'd lock itself back. I'd unlock it again, hold it unlocked, and it stay unlocked. I pull the key out, it would lock. Sometimes I'd unlock it, open it, close it, and it locked. You know, you just can't have a car locking itself because that plastic spacer in there wasn't right. These things that go in there that fit into that mechanism that locks it and unlocks it, it has a nipple on it. And that nipple has to go through that guide or grommet properly. And those grommets, they can't be flipped. They got to stay in the door. There's a passenger side and a driver's side. So I don't know what to tell you. You got to learn how to get these key tumblers out of the handle and just move it vice versa. I've done that before. I did it once today. I couldn't repeat it. So I'm going to figure that out, master that, and then I'll switch these locks out. We're done for today. Kicking off the Tinker Day. You pull and pay. I don't do them often, but sometimes you got to. Here at this red 850, looks like 601. And man, somebody could not get this ultra racing rear chassis brace off. That bolt, I guess it was spinning. I brought Wani out here and cut it most of the way off, had some help prying it off. And look at here, man, that thing is super excellent brand. So we're gonna take that, gonna take a couple other little bits. I'm surprised it left the dash pad. Dash pad is very nice. And we're gonna hurry up and get out of here. We're gonna take this dash pad, man. This dash pad is nice. I would call that A quality. So we have that, somebody needed.
Pick up your glasses.
That's how OGs do it. This is a slick top, so this dome light is here if somebody needs it. I think these lenses, this whole dash is blue. That must have been driving somebody crazy. All right, let me get over there and pop this side loose.
Right.
Hey, baby. Here we are. We're going to replace the passenger side hood latch and the lens on this headlight because it's got a hole in it. We are back. Get ready to do a couple of control arms and some rear brake pads, and that should be it. So let's knock this out real quick. It's always good to take a look at this engine mount when you're down here. Man, somebody put that thing on tight. In this video, I'm going to show you how to take the key barrel out of the car. If you got a working key, put the key in, unlock the door, take this cover off of it, stick a screwdriver or something in this hole. You turn the key till it drops a little bit. I'm going to turn this one a little bit clockwise. I heard a little pin drop in there. God dang it. All right, so I got the key turned about 1 and 7. I push this in there and I'm massaging it out the tumbler. So there you have it. It's out. I'm gonna walk this over to the other side. Stick it in the other side. It looks like it's this point in 4 o'clock. So I'm gonna slide this in there, work it into the door. Make sure it's in the hole in there.
Robert, what are you doing?
Trying to install a lock cylinder and a car door. And things are not going right for me.
Trying to take video for his channel.
Oh, my bad.
There it is.
Look, you should be learning, not crying.
Okay.
Can I call you tomorrow or later?
No, we're all right. We're done.
You're alright, he's done. He was just having some trouble.
All right. Thank
So,
you.
Robert, what were you working on?
Next stop, we are at John's place. Do 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 do. Should be at 8:50 in here. Let's see. There she blows. 850. We got a couple of bits for this car, a couple of little pieces for the sunroof, and a blend door motor. So let's get cracking. See if we can get this thing fixed. John says his defrost not working. He got that thing pegged out on the heat. He's got flashies. We're gonna put that thing on auto and see if we can get some defrost. Man, it's coming out this front vent hard, not these. Oh, these vents are closed. Oh yeah, it's coming out these vents real hard. This blend door motor for this is not working. So I'm gonna read the codes, reset them, see if that helps. If not, I got a blend door motor for John. Let's get started. Plugged in a blend door motor. I think that's for this position, and did a number of things with my scanner, the VST, and I finally seen this thing move. So I'm going to go ahead and replace this motor here and see if it'll work. Well, it looks like this gear is installed wrong on this blend door motor. If you look there, that hash mark is the travel limit to there. And I don't know if this is on wrong or not. I'd have to run it through. But I couldn't get that other one installed until I put this gear on in between these hash marks. Let me show you, like that. But this one was on there. I'm not sure if it was outside of the travel limit. So let's fire this car up, see if we got defrost. We got a thing up there. Put this to auto. We got air coming out the facial vents. I'm gonna put it on defrost, see if it changes. Seems like it's coming out of here stronger. All right, it did go lower, going out the floor. No, it's still doing the same thing. Let me see if I could get it to reset or something with this thing here. Not 100% sure what's going to happen with this climate control system. I went to adjust motors. They told me to drive the car for more than 20 miles an hour for like 10 minutes or something like that, and then run the system through and see if it works. So I'm going to tell John to do that. Hopefully that'll fix it. If not, I'm going to try to get a climate control unit, test it out, and ship to him. I got these pieces in the sunroof shade, so he should be good to go. Man, that headliner still looks. Kicking off the Tinker Day in Elgin outside of Chicago. Gonna do a fuel pump on this V70R. He's got the fuel pump in, ready to drop it in. So let's get cracking. Prime it. We're gonna prime it, see if it works. We tested it outside. It shot fuel about 10 feet. Splice wires, so we couldn't get the tank down to run the wires. Yep, I hear pump action.
Here we go.
Let's try to make sure it's tight enough to not leak when he fills it up. Go ahead, fire it up. And we're running, folks. We're running again. Yes, sir. Man, always let these things run at least a minute before you shut them off.
Oh, okay.
Because they'll flood. Fire that thing back up. All right, yeah, let that thing run at least a minute. I shouldn't kill you. A minute won't kill you. But you can open it up. I'm all right with that.
cold out.
We're going to kick off the Tinker Day with this 850R 96 model. AC system will not stay charged. So we believe it's an evaporator leak. I'm going to inspect that real quick and get going with pulling it to replace it. As you can see, we have the dash out. Now we're about 30 minutes away from replacing the evaporator. I came out here and pulled the bolt up here to get the lines loose so that I can disconnect these lines from the evaporator. And this line wasn't connected all the way. I could see the lip of it. So we're wondering if that might be a leak point that was causing the majority of this issue. So I plugged it in, it snapped. We're gonna draw down the system, see if it holds a vacuum. And here we have the dash. Nice solid mount here. It's cracked up on that end of it. See it lifting. This one appears to be solid. This one is busted. We're gonna figure out how that goes and epoxy that back in place and then secure it. And this one's got several pieces in there. We're gonna epoxy and put a brace on it. Back from lunch, getting ready to build some little brackets here to epoxy there so that we can screw the bottom of the dash panel back on. Yes, folks, it is out once again. This thing had minor leaks. You can see, oh, it's leaking pretty good over here. But it had a few dots here and there where it was leaking. You can see these crustaceans packed up with dirt. It's just good to replace these things. Yeah. There it is, folks. Back together and all done. Whoop, whoop. If you made it this far, I trust that you found some information that was either useful or entertaining, so go ahead and hit the like button. And if you would like notification of future videos that I post, please subscribe to the channel. I appreciate your support. You can follow me on other social media apps by looking for @RobertDIY. Some form of that should bring up the other channels that I have on places like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and so forth. If for some reason you need some more personal help, go to my website at robertdiy.com and use the phone number that I have posted there to send me a text message, or you can email me. If you have questions or comments, please make a comment below. And if you'd like to make some kind of financial contribution to what I got going on here, go to my channel and hit the more link at the end of the introduction statement, and it'll show you different ways that you can support me financially. Again, thanks for watching. I hope you have a great day.